What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Realistic Summer Career Mode. This is episode number 53, and we're starting today's episode off with two big bids here for Unai Venfador. Yep, getting straight to work in today's episode, and guys, no spoilers, but it's a crazy episode in terms of transfer dramas, both for sales and signings as well. So for Unai Venfador, I had no plans to sell this guy. Now, I had him up in my Granada career mode, and the dude was alright, you know, as a technical player, really solid, great passer of the ball, and pretty decent to have in the heart of my midfield. In this inter-team, he's my deep line playmaker. He's the guy that sits CDM for me and just retains possession. Doesn't get too far forward. I think he's scored one goal for me so far, but doesn't really do much other than just spread the ball around. But we had two bids from Arsenal and Real Madrid, and whilst the Gunners are struggling a little bit in the Premier League in the game, if not in real life, Real Madrid a chance to head back to La Liga, his native Spain, and play for the Galacticos. Yeah, I couldn't really stand in the way of what would be a dream move for Unai Venfador. Back to his native Spain, back to La Liga, and now playing for the La Liga Spanish giants Real Madrid. Yeah, couldn't stand in his way, could I? So, Venfador goes back to Spain. He's off to Real Madrid for 62.5 mil. And I needed a replacement. And I know what you're all thinking. Come on, Doxy boy, he's right there, Nicolo Barella. I know, guys, but right now, Barca are top of La Liga, right? And you know, at the moment, they're a far bigger and better club than we are at this current point in the rebuild. I just didn't think it would be realistic, you know. He's got about 2 or 3 years left on his deal at the new camp. You know, he's obviously one of the best midfielders in the world. We have won 3 straight. We are into the knockout stage of the Champions League, and there is still a chance we could win a domestic double this year, no doubt about it. But I think at the moment for Barella, it will be very unrealistic for him to return at this current point right now. Barca are a bigger and better team than we are at this current point. Maybe next season. In fact, probably next season, but right now in this January window, I wasn't sure about the realism of that. However, this one made sense to me. Kefrem Thuram, year and a half left on his deal, currently playing for Wolves at Molineux right now. And I really thought if Bruno Lage was going to cash in and there was a chance for him to come here, he would not turn it down. Now, one of the reasons why I love Denzel Dumfries, we talked about in the last episode, was his versatility. Thuram is just like that. Kefren Thuram is one of my favourite players in FIFA, and I'm so happy to have him in this team. He's amazing, man. He is like a jack of all trades, 6'4", high work rate, solid player trait as well. Now, I actually had him in my last realistic career mode as well, Southampton, and the second team I moved on to as well. Won't spoil it for you if you want to watch that, but Thuram, I love him. He is just so energetic. He's got both the high work rates for attacking and defence, and again, the solid player trait as well. Honestly, I love him to pieces, man. He's so versatile. For me, he will be a deep line playmaker in this team, taking over from Venfador as my DM. But I gotta say, like, I thought about this. I really don't know how I'm going to get the best out of him because, again, he can do any role. He's a jack of all trades. He can do any role in this Inter Milan team. He can even play wing-back in this team for me. No problem whatsoever. As we sign Samuel Ricky here from Reading. He's in the Championship, this guy. What's he doing there, man, at the Medeski? Mate, I know that Reading were in the Premier League not too long ago in this save, but you're in the Championship now. Bro, you ain't got to stay loyal. You can come back to Italy and play for a Champions League side. You're more than good enough. 23 years old, 82 rated, and Ricky comes in from the Royals as well. And Ricky's such a great deep line playmaker, man. And this guy is like the PLO regen. His range of passing is absolutely amazing. It really is. I think he's just signed for Torino in real life permanently. I know he was on loan there. I think he's gone permanently now. But even so, Ricky back in the Serie A as our deep line playmaker. But again, for Thuram, it's a really difficult choice because you would have seen there, I had a bit of a change of heart. Initially, I was going to train him as a DM and have him as my, again, deep line playmaker slash quarterback, if you will, in this team. But then I was thinking, you know, he can pass the ball well, obviously. You know, he's got a great range of stats, as we all know. But then I was thinking, am I really going to get the best out of him there? When you think about his stats when going forward as well, he's 6'4", he's got a physical frame. Sitting back, yeah, you can do that, but also going forward, you're gonna miss out on his attributes in the offensive positions if I keep him as a DM. So, and in fact, I'm gonna keep him as a CM and train him as a playmaker. But I think personally, box to box is where he'll do best in this team. Obviously, right now we're missing Mason Mount, don't get me wrong, but I'm thinking of our current midfield trio, what I'm thinking will be best in this team right now. One playmaker, one box-to-box, one deep-line playmaker, quarterback, anchorman, if you will. So like a roaming playmaker in the three, a box-to-box, and someone that sits back as my quarterback. I don't think I'm getting the best out of Turam, the quarterback. I don't. I think I need to have him as my box-to-box in this three. So for now, whilst I'm still working it out, I'll change a few things around here or there and see what works best. But I think in the future, I think Turam's best role will be in the duo of the CMs and not sitting behind as that, again, quarterback, as I would call it. But even so, we beat Salernitana in the previous game there by a 0-0. So win in the Serie A makes it 4 straight in all competitions for Inter Milan. Best run of form since taking over, and the perfect way to start our rebuild era. Everything going according to plan, and I thought, let's keep the signings coming. We've made 2 here with Ricky and Turam coming in. I said we need a bit more depth in this Inter Milan side if we're going to fight for 3 trophies this season in a weaker position where we are right now, still outside the top 4. So I wanted a new player for the reserves and a young Italian talent as well. And this guy, to me, made perfect sense. Cancellieri. Looks like he's on his way to out of Hellas Verona. Bournemouth put a bid in, and I was like, no, stay in Italy. Stay in this area. Don't go and play under Scott Parker. Come and play under me. When I say come and play under me, what I mean is come and sit on the bench under me, basically, for now. But Cancellieri is in a decent deal of range of Hellas Verona there, just over £20 million. And again, really, really quick winger. And true, we don't play with wingers in this team, but I think you can play as centre forward in this team pretty easily. I'm going to get his weak foot rating up first as an inside forward. You look at the stats here, good passer of the ball, got a great long shot rating at 82 now as well. You'll notice in our Inter Milan team, what we do is we have one striker, which is Moise Keane, and the lad next to him, in the case of this game against Lazio, St. Maximin, sometimes be Bailey, but most of the time it's Memphis. That's a centre forward. That's not a striker, that's a centre forward. So one striker is playing off the shoulder of the other, which means that one of the strikers is listed as a centre forward. So I kind of want a creative player with my out-and-out goal scorer. Keane will always be my main man up top. Keane will always be my main goal scorer, but I want someone to be alongside him, playing off the shoulder a little bit deeper to thread balls through, shoot from distance, and also make some good runs in behind when the opportunity arrives as well. So a centre forward alongside a striker is what I want here. Cancellieri, to me, the stats he's got, can definitely do that. Good pace, good long shot, good dribbling, no doubt about it. I think he'd work really well in the CF role. Even so, second game of today's episode, it's Lazio. It is the Coppa Italia quarter-final. And after beating Bologna, I was pretty nervous heading into this game here. Once again, really strong lineup for the game, because I couldn't take any chance. We got through Bologna by a goal, now taking on Sarri's side. They were my first opponent since we joined Inter Milan. We beat them by a 0-0 at the San Siro, my first game in the Serie A, now in the Cup. And let me tell you, I was feeling nervous, and yes, we've had a good run of form recently. We haven't been winning our games convincingly. Outside of the game against Sassuolo, our wins have been by a goal, or in the case of Spezia, by 2. So heading into this game against Lazio, I was nervous. I was really nervous heading into the game. And whilst I had 2 separate leads, I was pegged back on both occasions as well. Lazio, twice in the game, battled back from a goal down to force extra time. And despite Nunez's brace, we were heading into extra time. I was getting chances at one end, but I was fragile at the other. Since coming into Inter, we've done a much better job of getting the goals and putting the ball in the back of the net. That was their main problem when we took over here. But defence is a big problem. Pegged back twice, and I thought, do you know what? I've just got to keep on attacking. If I can't defend, just keep on attacking. And for 10 minutes after the restart in extra time, well, I talked about him in the last episode. He scored the second goal against Bologna in the Cup that proved to be a game winner. And it's what you call back-to-back game winners for the veteran, Thomas Müller. You know, you need a vet. You need a leader, you need a senior, you need a pro in your dressing room, and Thomas Müller is the ultimate pro. Wins us the game. We took 3 shots in the game and scored of all of them. Talk about giving the AI a taste of their own medicine there, but a 3-2 win. We scraped through in extra time, and in the semi-finals, you would have seen them. Milan were knocked out in the semi-finals themselves. So still in Fiorentina, Napoli, and Udinese, and we have got Fiorentina. Napoli versus Udinese, the other semi-final tie. You look at those 4 teams there, Napoli and Fiorentina right next to us in the Serie A right now. Udinese a little bit lower in the table. If I'm being honest here, no disrespect, I would have preferred Udinese, but we've got Fiorentina in the semi-final, and that's not going to be easy. We're favourites for it, don't get me wrong, but I've struggled against Fiorentina quite a bit in this year's FIFA. I don't know what it is about Fiorentina, but I always seem to get them in the Europa League. I don't know what it is, but do you know when you're managing in like a European competition and there's always that one team, you seem to face them every other year. That's Fiorentina for me. Whenever I'm playing in the Europa League, if it's the last 16 or the quarter final, I'll have Fiorentina. They just pop up every now and then. It's just so frustrating. But semi-final, I've struggled against them before. I don't think that'll be one-sided, especially after only just coming through Lazio in extra time and only beating Bologna by a goal as well. Still, our winning run extended to 5 in all competitions, our best run of form with Inter. And as we were approaching transfer deadline day, well, what about this? I had no plans to sell him like Venfador, but St. Maximin, a bench player in my team with Inter, wants to be a starter. As Handanovic is going to go to Fenerbahce come the end of his contract. 40 years old now, Handanovic. But St. Maximin doesn't want to be a bench player, wants to be a starter. He won't be here, but he will be at Lille. Yet returning back to his native France, St. Maximin is off to Ligue 1 to play for Lille, and he has gone back to France for £59 million. So that would mean I was looking for a new centre forward to play off the shoulder of Moise Kean, and I had a few names on my shortlist. Bring back Lautaro Martinez. Nope, didn't think it was realistic right now, or Real Madrid. Zaniolo's just moved on to Arsenal. Wasn't sure about that. But this, to me, I thought would make perfect sense. I said I want 1 or 2 stars in this window. We've bought in one with Bastoni, but at the other end of the pitch, with 18 months left on his contract, Antonio Conte worried they won't get much for him in the summer window if he doesn't sign an extension. Federico Chiesa, ex-Fiorentina and Juve man, and we are going to pick him up for £105 million. 59 million raised for St. Maximin. Add that to the budget we already had, and we're getting Chiesa back to the Serie A here at the San Siro, and at 90 rated in his prime right now. What a signing. And I thought it made sense because Spurs are struggling right now in the game. You know, they're outside the top 4 in the Premier League, in danger of missing out of the Champions League. They're a Europa Conference League side in the game right now. They're not even in the Europa League. They're a Europa Conference League side. We have won 5 on the bounce. The rebuild era is gathering traction. We are into the Champions League first knockout round as well. You'll see the draw in the well, not the draw, but the fixture we've got. You never get the draw for the last 16 Champions League. I don't know why. But Chiesa returning back to Italy, not able to settle in England, and he is in as my new number 11 to replace Maximin. Memphis will drop to the bench, and we'll have Chiesa and Kean as our duo up top. And he literally is the perfect, and I mean the perfect player to be a centre forward in this team. With the role I was describing a minute ago, Chiesa fits that like a glove. I'm absolutely buzzing. He is like the perfect piece in this jigsaw puzzle. So following that, I did decide to do this. I know a lot of you guys will be asking why. The answer is very simple. Realism, really. Mason Mount, we just gave him back to Chelsea for Jorginho. Now, I could see Jorginho ending his career in the Serie A. Absolutely no doubt about it. You know, moving on from Napoli to Chelsea to play under Sarri. Obviously, still there at Chelsea and a real fans' favourite, Jorginho. I think he struggled to win the fans over initially, but I think he's really built up his reputation at Stamford Bridge. But I've always liked Jorginho. As a passer of the ball, he's fantastic. Great composure, as we all know. But Jorginho, to me, 33 years old, in the twilight of his career, I could definitely see him returning to the Serie A around that age. Mason Mount in the prime of his career. I mean, you know, Fikayo Tomori's at AC Milan. You know, Ashley Young was at Inter not too long ago. It's not beyond the realms of possibility, but I think really for realism, who would be more likely to play for Inter Milan in a few years' time? Jorginho or Mason Mount? I think we all know the answer to that, right? So it made no sense financially, but we're giving up one of our best assets in the team for an aging player. It's only got 1 or 2 years left on him in its prime, at the top level, I should say. But again, it's not about the best strategy in this career. It's about what's most realistic, and it's not realistic for Mount to be here in his prime right now at 89 overall. So yeah, it just made sense to give him back to Chelsea. I want him back at Chelsea. It makes more sense realistically, but one of my final signings on deadline day was this guy. We had a bid for Matthias Ginter. It was from AC Milan. I wasn't prepared to sell him for our rivals and one of our title rivals as well. But if he wanted to leave as a 4th choice centre-half here, we know now Ginter isn't going to get much game time because we prefer the young Italian talents alongside Bastoni as well. I said, why don't you go back to Germany? Because I found a good youngster out there. He's of course moved back to Freiburg for this year, Matthias Ginter. He's never spent a minute's worth of football playing outside of Germany. All his teams have been German teams. So I'll send him back to the Bundesliga for the realism, going to Bayer Leverkusen, and the guy I'll pick up for, I think it was 20 something million plus Matthias Ginter, is another one of those teenage talents. Like I said, centre-half new gens and regens, you find them in abundance. 6 foot, so not the tallest, but 94 strength and a decent jump on him as well. Great base defensive stats at just 19 years old, 81 overall. Santos, a young Brazilian with the exciting prospect tag, 12 years younger than Ginter. 3 ratings lower, yes, but this is the rebuild era here at Inter Milan. I'm fine taking a step back in order to get steps forward. Santos is in, great young Brazilian centre-half, and again, he'll come off the bench in this team. But again, Ginter, long-term at 31 years old, it makes more sense for him to be back in the Bundesliga when he's not getting many minutes here, behind a couple of teenage Italians, and also Bastoni as well, a world-class centre-half. Yeah, it makes far more sense for him to go back to the Bundesliga. We'll get more minutes at the Bayer Leverkusen. He's more than good enough to be a starter in a European team, and I'll take the youngster as we continue to rebuild. So, there we go. Transfer deadline day would end. Massive transfers. It's so fun because I didn't predict either of my 2 big sales, man. So Maximin and Ventador leaving. Did not plan either of those whatsoever, but the players to replace them. Kefren Turan, one of my favourite players in FIFA, and Federico Chiesa, the literal perfect centre forward to partner Moise Kean. Absolutely love it. The window ends. We spent over £400 million this January window. The board gave me a big budget after we, of course, inherited the side here. And when you look at the departures, goodness, what a rebuild. Munian, Torres, Chong, Luis Alberto, Males, Lazaro, Handanovic going to Fenerbahce next season, St. Maximin to Lille, Carrasco to Man City, Dinescu and Radu, the Romanian goalkeepers, leaving, and Venfador and Shalanolu going to the Galacticos, with Felipe returning to Spain. But you look at the signings, Jorginho in as a veteran presence, Lopez and Rossetti, 2 young freebies, Gasparoni, the talent, Cancellieri, Udogi, Santos, another great young centre-half talent, Bastoni, the Class CB, Ricky, Santoro, Chiesa, the perfect CF, Molina, Kefren Turan as well. My goodness gracious me. When you talk about a rebuild, that is a rebuild. You look at the team here and you'd say, is it better than the team you inherited? I'd say it's about the same, but most crucially, it's gotten far, and I mean far younger. Much more exciting for the future. Many more Italian players coming in as we try and rebuild and restructure our club identity. And with 17 goals to go in the Serie A, into the semi-finals of the Coppa Italia, we've closed the gap on Atalanta to a point, and we're breathing down the necks of the boys in the top 4. Second half of the season well underway. Rebuild completed for now. Question is, can we deliver on the pitch and get into the top 4 and win the title as well? Well, that will end today's episode of the Really Summer Career, guys. Big fan of you for watching. Hope you have enjoyed it. If you haven't, just like. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for the next episode of the Really Summer Career, featuring the draw. Well, not the draw, but the fixture reveal for the first leg of our Champions League last 16 as well. Very soon.